To us. Last Sunday, when we celebrated Christ the King, being the last Sunday of the liturgical calendar, the gospel reading has something to do with the sense or the judgment, the final judgment that we are going to face, inasmuch as it is something that is going to happen in the future. And as we begin a new stage, a new cycle of the liturgical calendar, we shift our gospel reading. So the whole year last year, in the ordinary time, and especially in the particular Sundays, our gospel reading, the gospel reading that we were reflecting and we were reading, is on the Gospel of Saint Mark. And since we are now entering into the third or the cycle C of the liturgical calendar in terms of readings, we are now focused on the Gospel of Saint Luke. So it is the whole year round that we will be, of course, confronted. Of course, there are also other gospel readings that are coming when there are special occasions and feasts or solemnities. But in this particular context, we are journeying with the message, the beautiful message of the Gospel of Saint Luke, who, by the way, wrote not only a gospel, but also of the account of what took place after Jesus was ascended to heaven. He talks about the history of the church from the very beginnings, beginning with the apostles, and even down the line up to our times, and continues to happen even beyond us. Now, this particular contextualization of our liturgical readings also help us in the context of the new theme or the new thrust that we are going to start this Sunday for the next 3 years in the calendar of the church. Apart from our closing of our 500 years of the coming of Christianity into the Philippines through Cebu, we will be reflecting on synodality. And synodality is a terminology that means walking together, journeying together. And it is so appropriate that we start this liturgical cycle with the Gospel of Saint Luke, because Saint Luke is particularly concerned of Jesus' journey towards Jerusalem. And even after he was raised from the dead, he journeyed with 2 disciples going to Emmaus. And even until now, he continues to journey with us. Even if he ascended to heaven, he continues to journey through the many different occasions and what we call moments of his presence in our lives, as we continue to celebrate the liturgy, the Eucharist, the sacraments, our constant reading of the scriptures, and even in our little chit-chats among each other when we talk about good things and challenges in life. The many different occasions that we can feel even by just watching in the environment, the world around us, appreciating the beauty of the sunrise and the exhilarating graciousness of the sunset, the stars and the moon in the evening, and even the cold night. No? The air is already cold. Akong giingnan silang angel ganina before nagsugod sa misa. Kanunay jud ko makahinumdum aning moabot na tag-Advent kay duol ng Pasko. Kanang kanta na sa elementary nga first few lines ako ang gihapon na memorize, no? Nga the days are short, the nights are long, the wind is cold and chilly. Okay? And then the homes are brightly lighted, the boys and girls are merry. No? And that is actually what we are now here, despite the pandemic, di ba? We are actually turning back to the normal flow, to the normal events of our lives, despite another challenge, no? Naana pug kuno lagi variant. Nalingaw jud ko gahapon nag-agik iko nga istorya mi sa uban nga mga pare kay ko nga sus gikapuyan na sila og hatag og mga ngalan anang mga variants. Di na ganit na makahinumdum og unsa na ni ngalan ana. Nga no man di ay ilan naman tatong gisugdan og Greek nga mga ngalan, di ba? Na anatoy beta, na anatoy delta, ni abot na ganit tag lambda, no? Nung ano wa na nila gipurso ang Greek alphabet, nga wala na nila gihatag kay basig ilan ang gamiton maalaan unya nga fraternity, dili na unya virus, dili na unya COVID, kay ang mga fraternity nga ngalan gikan biyan sa Greek alphabet, no? So ninghunong na intawon sila sa lambda. Anyway, these are things that come around, no? That we go, we come, we enter into, and then we come out as well. Because our celebration of Advent, actually, from the very perspective of the liturgical readings, leads us into a faithful preparation for what is going to happen. That is why the first Sunday of Advent is dedicated to the second coming of the Lord. That is what He promised us. And it just is a smooth connection to the last Sunday of the liturgical calendar. Because even until now, what we are reading were actually gospel readings of the previous days, no, the last week of the liturgical calendar. But then, it is not enough to be just reminded about His coming. Kaya iya man yun ang tinudon. But we do not know exactly when, and that is the grace that is experienced by us. Because He gives us all the chances there is in order to make our lives according to the essence of the reading, no? To stand erect, to prepare ourselves for that coming. But before that will come, there is also another coming that we have to face, our coming death, personal death. That is why to face before the Son of Man means two things. No? Our individual audience with Him when we die, and the second is when He comes as judge, that we will all of us face Him. But then, as I said, it's not enough to be always reminded of this. Because first and foremost, when we enter the season of Advent, what is at the heart of it is the first time that He came into our lives. The first time that He came into the world, when He was born like us. And this is in good memory. This is a celebration that we always enjoy. Not only the children, not only the child in us, but practically everyone who is part of the so-called salvation, the reason of which He came into the world. And so, it is not only His second coming that we really have to prepare. Of course, we don't know the exact time. And then, remembering, recalling, putting back to life the first time He came. And Saint Bernard, if my memory does not betray me today, there is a very beautiful reflection about Advent, that there is also somehow what he calls intermediate coming, no? Or the coming in between the first coming and the second coming. And what is this intermediate coming? These are moments when Jesus comes to our lives through, as I said earlier, the reading of the scriptures, when He converses with us through the Bible, and then the sacraments we celebrate, and even our kulukabildo with our brothers and sisters. And this intermediate coming is also very significant because it somehow connects us and makes us even more prepared for the second coming, which He will do as He has promised. And so part of this is to be reminded every time we light the candles of Advent for 4 weeks, that this is always something that will enlighten us and will lead us through the way, even or despite the darkness that are looming on our sides or among us. Because this candle is none other than Christ Himself, who is our light, who is our salvation. Amen.